Love can build worlds or destroy them. When Toan secretly rebuilds Diem's old, crumbling house, it ignites a fierce battle with his mother, who's determined to tear them apart. Furious and relentless, she confronts Diem with cruel accusations and harsh ultimatums, threatening to sever their bond forever. Will their love survive a war waged by family? Subscribe now and dive into this gripping drama of passion, betrayal, and unbreakable devotion. Join us as we uncover the secrets behind the walls and the hearts that refuse to give up. It began with suspicion, a mother's gnawing doubt that refused to quiet down. Ever since her son, Toan, began distancing himself, becoming less obedient, more withdrawn, she knew something, or rather, someone had changed him. That someone was Ly Tu Diem. At first, she tried to reason with him. She warned him about Diem's past, her humble background, the way she never truly belonged in their world. But Toan didn't listen. He looked at her with eyes she hadn't seen since he was a teenager, defiant, passionate, blindly in love. So, when words failed, she chose action. She hired a man. Quiet, experienced, with no ties to their family, someone who knew how to observe without being seen. His orders were simple: follow that girl. Find out what she's doing. And who she's doing it with. Days passed without incident. Diem went to the market, visited an elderly neighbor, and returned to the crumbling old house at the edge of town. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But then came today, the day that changed everything. Rain had begun to fall, light at first, then steadily heavier. The man sat in his rusted car a few houses down, camera lens protruding just enough to capture a clear view through the misty windshield. And there he was, Toan. He had arrived in a sleek black car, stepping out with rolled-up sleeves and a determined look on his face. Within minutes, construction workers appeared from nowhere, nodding respectfully as he gave instructions. There was a blueprint in his hand, and when he pointed toward the worn-down roof and cracked walls, it was clear he was rebuilding the house. The watchers zoomed in. Toan wasn't just overseeing the work. He was involved. He measured beams with his own hands, crouched down to inspect floor tiles, even laughed once with a young worker before checking a delivery of bricks. And Diem? She stood in the doorway, clearly surprised by how fast things were moving. She looked overwhelmed, grateful, but never once did she act entitled. She didn't cling to Toan. She didn't demand anything. But that didn't matter to the man watching. His job wasn't to interpret, it was to report. He took picture after picture, Toan handing an envelope to the contractor, Diem walking beside him with a steaming cup of tea, both of them smiling under a shared umbrella as the rain started to fall harder. A perfect little domestic scene, soaked in love and money. Within the hour, the pictures were sent. One file. 32 photos. No words. She opened them alone in her bedroom, the curtains drawn tightly, the silence suffocating. Each photo sliced deeper than the last. Her son, the pride of the family, the heir to a growing empire, was wasting his time, his energy, and worse, his fortune on that girl. She gritted her teeth. This is what he's doing behind my back? Her voice trembled not with fear, but with fury. To her, it wasn't generosity. It wasn't love. It was weakness. Emotional foolishness. A betrayal of everything she had built for him. Every sacrifice. Every sleepless night building the foundation of their family name, now being spent brick by brick on a girl with nothing. Her hands trembled as she picked up her phone. She didn't call Toan. Not yet. No, this wasn't something to be fixed over a conversation. It needed to be confronted. In person. Her eyes narrowed at the final photo, Diem looking up at Toan like he was her whole world. "Let's see how long your world lasts," she whispered coldly. The very next morning, long before the sun had fully risen, the air was thick with a storm brewing far beyond the dark clouds overhead. Toan's heart pounded with a relentless fury as she made her way toward the old house, her mind spinning with schemes and demands. No longer content to watch from afar, no longer willing to let this foolish infatuation drag her son into ruin, she had decided it was time to confront Diem face to face. The worn gravel crunched under her heels as she approached the half-rebuilt home, its fresh plaster gleaming faintly in the early light. The sounds of hammering and the steady clink of metal filled the air, but her footsteps silenced everything inside her. She was an unyielding force now, a storm in human form, marching to deliver a reckoning. Diem was outside, hands wrapped around a mug of warm tea, eyes tired but hopeful as she watched the workers finalize the repairs. The moment she spotted Toan striding up the path, her heart seized. There was no invitation, no warning, just that cold, sharp gaze cutting through the morning mist like a blade. "You!" Toan's voice rang out, harsh and accusatory. The workers paused, casting uneasy glances between the two women. "Do you know what you're doing? Do you have any idea how much money you're sucking out of my son's pocket?" Diem's breath hitched. She tried to step back, but the weight of the accusation pinned her in place. "Mrs. Nguyen, please. I don't know what you think is happening, but all of this was Toan's choice. He wanted to help me rebuild the house. I never asked for anything." "Lies." The older woman spat, stepping closer, the sharp edge of her anger turning venomous. "You think I don't see through your act? You're draining him dry with your fake innocence. This house, these repairs, it's all a trap, a way to tie him down and waste his inheritance." Diem swallowed hard, fighting the sting rising in her throat. "No, it isn't. Toan wanted to do this himself. He believes in me and us. I don't have that kind of money. I never wanted him to throw it away on me. But Toan wasn't listening. Her eyes glittered dangerously as she pulled a thick bundle of cash from her purse and thrust it toward Diem's chest. "Take this," she demanded, voice icy with contempt. "Return every penny. This money belongs to my son, and I will not let you destroy his future." Diem's hands trembled as the notes fell into her lap. The workers looked away, uneasy, sensing the storm between the two women escalating. The air felt heavier, suffocating. "Please," Diem pleaded, voice barely above a whisper. "I'm not trying to take anything from him. I just want to build a life, a home. For both of us." Toan's lips curled into a cruel smile. "A home? This isn't your home. This is my son's world, and you're an intruder. You think you can waltz in, rebuild his life for him, and he'll just let you? Not while I'm alive." With a sudden, shocking motion, she threw the money at Diem's face. The crisp bills fluttered down like cruel leaves, some sticking to Diem's tear-streaked cheeks. "You're nothing but a parasite," she hissed. "I swear, I will make sure you never see Toan again. I'll tear apart whatever fragile bond you have, and I'll protect my son from the ruin you bring." Diem blinked, stunned, the weight of the insult crashing over her. She wiped the wet bills away, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. The warmth of the tea she had been holding now felt cold and distant, as though it had been replaced by a deep chill seeping into her very bones. The workers exchanged glances, unsure whether to intervene or stay silent. The tension was unbearable, raw. "Why are you doing this?" Diem finally found her voice, trembling but firm. "Why would you rather destroy everything than try to understand? Toan loves me. This house, it's a symbol of that love." Toan shook her head, her eyes burning with fanatic resolve. "Love? No. This is obsession, a foolish, dangerous obsession that blinds him to reality. And I will be the one to open his eyes. Starting now." Without another word, she turned on her heel and strode away, leaving Diem alone amidst the scattered money and half-finished walls, a woman caught in a battle far greater than herself, with a mother who would stop at nothing to win. Diem stood frozen for a moment, the remnants of the flying money fluttering around her like cruel confetti. The storm inside her was nothing compared to the rage she saw retreating in Toan's back. Yet, beneath the fury lay a deep sadness, an unbearable ache twisting in her chest. She knelt slowly to gather the scattered bills, but her hands trembled too much to collect them all at once. She felt exposed, humiliated not just by the harsh words and the thrown money, but by the cold rejection from the woman who should have been a second mother to Toan. As the workers resumed their tasks with hesitant glances, Diem wiped the tears she refused to let fall and took a steadying breath. The house, half rebuilt and filled with the echoes of hammering, suddenly seemed smaller, more fragile than ever. It was supposed to be a fresh start, a promise of a future built on love and trust. Instead, it had become the battleground of a war she never wished to fight. She walked inside, her fingers tracing the damp walls, the new wood beams, the places where Toan's hands had rested. Her voice was barely a whisper when she spoke aloud to the empty room. Why does it have to be like this? Why can't love be enough? That night, the weight of the confrontation settled heavily on her heart. But Diem was no stranger to hardship, and she had faced darker storms before. She reminded herself that Toan was not just a man blinded by love, he was strong, determined, and fiercely loyal. He had chosen to help her, and she had never asked for anything more than to stand beside him. The following day, word of the encounter reached Toan almost immediately. His phone buzzed insistently, messages flooding in from friends and workers alike, describing the scene with varying degrees of shock and sympathy. Toan's chest tightened with anger, frustration, and helplessness. How could his own mother, the woman who had raised him, treat the woman he loved with such cruelty? Without hesitation, he left the office and drove straight to the house. The rain had returned, drumming a steady rhythm on the roof as if nature itself mourned the tension that clung to the air. When Toan arrived, Diem was sitting on the porch steps, shoulders slumped, eyes downcast. She looked up as he approached, a fragile smile breaking through the fatigue. "I heard what happened," Toan said softly, sitting beside her. "I'm so sorry." Diem shook her head. "It's not your fault. She's just afraid. Afraid of losing you." "To lose me?" Toan's voice was incredulous but filled with sorrow. "I'm not hers to lose. I'm my own man." They sat in silence for a moment, the rain a quiet witness to their shared pain. "Toan," Diem began, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her, "I don't want this fight. I never wanted to be a wedge between you and your family. But I can't pretend this is easy. Your mother, she's determined to push me away." Toan took her hand in his, squeezing gently. "Then we fight. Together." Diem's eyes glistened with tears, but this time they were tears of hope. "You're willing to stand by me? Even if it means going against your own mother?" Toan nodded firmly. "You're not just rebuilding that house. You're rebuilding my life, my heart. And I'm not letting anyone take that away." In the days that followed, the house slowly transformed from a symbol of conflict into one of resilience. Toan's visits became more frequent, his presence a shield against the storm of disapproval that swirled beyond the walls. And though Toan's threats still echoed in their minds, Diem and Toan found strength in each other, determined to weather whatever came next. But one thing was certain, the battle for their love had only just begun.
Hello, xin chào tất cả mọi người. Vậy là tập phim ngày hôm nay của kênh Lý Để Diễn Review đã kết thúc tại đây. Tập ngày hôm nay có rất nhiều tình tiết mới hấp dẫn và mới lạ, và đặc biệt là tình tiết mẹ của CEO Toan đã ném tiền vào mặt Lý Để Diễn. Điều đó cho thấy bà là một con người thực sự kém và một người rất là tồi tệ khi coi khi người nghèo, và đặc biệt là một cái Lý Để Diễn. Nghĩ rằng với hàng ngày